Thank you. All right. Good morning. It's 8:04, and I have a few seconds before we officially start day two. But I want to start by acknowledging everybody that's present, including our presenter today, Miss Janice Cummings, and we thank you for being on time as always. She's always on time. And Alpha Support Men Champions, thank you so much. Joining us all the way from Kenya. We have the United States, Canada, and Kenya in the house, and it's 8:05. So I welcome you to day two, where we will address the family being part of the root cause, breaking that cycle, as we call it. But first and foremost, I thank you for making time out of your busy schedules to join us this morning, late afternoon, early evening, depending where you're joining us from around the world. 16 days of activism see us talk about issues that affect women and girls. And we are saying together in unison, in one collective voice, no to violence against women and girls. And the time is now. The time to break the cycle, the time no longer to make it an excuse. This is the time. We are saying no to violence, any form of violence against women and girls, or any form of violence against humanity, we should say, because we are all humans. Women's rights are human rights too. Girls' rights are women's rights. We envision a day where women and girls will be treated and seen as equals, where they will be called by their names instead of how they look. So we stand together in solidarity, gathered on this platform this morning to say no to violence against women and girls. And to start it off, without further ado, I will take a moment to introduce Ms. Jen Cummings. And as the founder and owner of We Win Working Together, Janice has built a thriving platform that supports women in breaking free from the emotional turmoil of toxic relationships. Her programs are designed to guide women in reclaiming their self-esteem, setting healthy boundaries, and embracing their inner strength. Her hands-on approach to community service reflects a deep belief in the importance of grassroots efforts to create meaningful change. Whether she's facilitating workshops or offering one-on-one coaching, Janice's mission is always centered on uplifting others. Her authentic storytelling and practical strategies resonate deeply with the audiences, leaving a lasting impact on those who hear her speak. Janice's work as a published author extends to her reach, offering lifeline of wisdom and guidance to women seeking to heal and grow. At the heart of Janice's work is her unwavering passion for helping women recognize their intrinsic value. She believes that every woman has the potential to rise above her circumstances and create a life of joy, purpose, and fulfillment. Through her dedication, Janice continues to be a guiding light for women and their journey. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to bring Miss Janice Cummings joining us all the way from Oklahoma, United States. And she's ready. Take it away, Miss Janice. It's always a pleasure and love to see you. We've been doing this for 5 years and counting, and we're not stopping.
Yeah.
Thank you again for saying yes. Take it away.
Oh, thank you, Maria. Okay. I am so happy to be here this morning and to share with you during this 16 days of activism against domestic violence and gender based violence. But as we all know, it's more than 16 days, it's a lifetime. But this is where we're putting the most focus on it, at least for these 16 days and thereafter. So, again, I'm very happy to be here today. And I hope that I can impart something, some wisdom to you guys today. But I am going to start off with a poem. And it's a poem that's dedicated to battered women. And it's called I Got Flowers Today. I got flowers today. It wasn't my birthday or any other special day. We had our first argument last night, and he said a lot of cruel things that really hurt. I know that he is sorry and didn't mean to say the things he said because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today. It wasn't our anniversary or any other special day. Last night, he threw me into the wall and started to choke me. It seemed like a nightmare. I couldn't believe that it was real. I woke up this morning sore and bruised all over. It seemed, I know he must be sorry because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today. It wasn't our anniversary or any other special day. Last night, he threw me against the wall and then started choking me. It seemed unreal, a nightmare. But you wake up from nightmares. And I woke up this morning sore and bruised all over. But I know he's sorry because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today, and it wasn't Valentine's Day or any other special day. Last night he beat me and threatened to kill me. Makeup and long sleeves don't hide the cuts and bruises this time. I couldn't go to work today because I didn't want anyone to know. But I know he's sorry because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today, and it wasn't Mother's Day or any other special day. Last night he beat me again, and it was worse than all the other times. If I leave him, what will I do? How will I take care of the kids? What about money? I'm afraid of him, but I'm too scared and dependent to leave him. But he must be sorry because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today. Today was a special day. It was the day of my funeral. Last night, he killed me. If only I would have gathered the courage and strength to leave him. I could have received help from the women's shelter, but I didn't ask for their help. So I got flowers today for the very last time. And I start off with that today so we can really feel the what the woman goes through on a regular basis usually. And it just kind of helps us feel what she's feeling just through this poem. So today, my goal is to give you some insight, and I'm asking anybody that has anything to add, they're welcome to add, to give you some insight about domestic violence. Just give you a little history about me. I grew up in a domestic violence household. And I remember that time, and it was it was very stressful as a child growing up in that environment, not knowing from day to day what's going to happen. You're always on alert. I remember coming home from school, and I remember immediately, especially on Fridays, getting an immediate stomach ache. And my mom took me to the doctor, but they could never find out what was wrong with me. And I found out later that it was the emotional stress of living in that type of environment. And every day I would wish that I had my own place. Even as a little kid, I was like 11 and 12, and I just yearned to have my own place. And so I'm telling you this so you can understand the importance and significance of us changing the trajectory of domestic violence and stopping it and not continuing it to precipitate it in other generations. We want to stop it now. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing this 16 days of around domestic violence. That's the main reason. Okay. So I'm going to start now. Today, we stand united in the global movement of 16 days of activism against domestic violence. We shine a light on an urgent issue that ripples across generations: violence within families. Generational violence is more than a personal struggle, it's a societal wound that perpetrates cycles of pain, fear, and disconnection. Each act of violence sends a message to the next generation, shaping their understanding of love, respect, and conflict. Together, we can break the cycle by fostering awareness, education, and accountability. We empower families to rewrite their stories, creating a legacy of healing, safety, and hope for generations to come. Okay, so I'd like you to, I did a workbook so you could follow me on the workbook, okay? And I did the introduction, and we're going to gain a better understanding of domestic violence because we're going to go through the different types of violence. Okay. Okay. First, I'm going to explain what domestic violence is. Domestic violence is violence or other abuse that occurs in a domestic setting, such as a marriage or cohabitation. Domestic violence is often used as a synonym for intimate partner violence, which is committed by one of the people in an intimate partner relationship against the other person, and can take place in relationships or between former spouses or partners, because we hear a lot about it. A lot of times the woman gets she gets hurt and she's no longer in the relationship. And most of the time, the most dangerous time for her is when she gets ready to leave. That's the most dangerous time. Okay. So that's the meaning. That's the meaning of domestic violence, just to get a clear picture of it. Okay. All right. So let's look at some of the effects of violence. Okay. Okay. Let's look at the impact on children. The impact on children. Domestic violence impact on children, emotional trauma, and behavioral issues. Academic struggles. I remember I had a lot of emotional trauma, and I really didn't know because domestic violence takes over the relationship. There's very little time that can be donated to the child. So during that time, I had to kind of find my own way. Plus, I was the oldest girl too. Okay, so and one of the things about domestic violence, when you grow up in that environment, you're more susceptible to getting in that environment again. Even though you say yourself, I'll never get in that environment again, somehow or another, it's comfortable to you in a strange kind of way, especially if you don't have any intervention or you can't talk to anybody. Okay. Uh, So what we want to do is we want to break the silence, and we acknowledge that, and we within the family, because I talk to a lot of families and I always ask them, how was it when you were growing up? Oh, it was fabulous. It was great. It was whatever. But it really wasn't like that. And I think a lot of times people say that because they don't want to uh, be ungrateful to their parent, or they don't want nobody to judge their parent. But a lot of times, the parent comes from that. So, well, I mean, they don't really know any better either. And I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just saying that this is what we're talking about when we're talking about intergenerational patterns. Okay. Okay. So we want to break the silence. Okay. And so another thing, I'm going to look at the impact on adults. The impact on adults. Domestic violence has a profound impact on individuals, causing not just physical harm, but also emotional distress and social isolation. The resulting physical, psychological, or sexual trauma can lead to various short and long-term health issues. Survivors often withdraw from social connections, including friends. Well, one of the reasons that she withdraws is because her partner isolates her from her family, her friends, and she can only spend time with him. So that's one of the reasons why she isolates. And then she's kind of embarrassed. She's embarrassed because she hasn't gotten away. She keeps going back again and again and again. And it doesn't do very much for her self-esteem and for her self-worth. So a lot of things that she does is because she's ashamed and she's fearful of the unknown, and she has the self-doubt as well. Okay, let me pull up the okay. All right. Okay, so I talked about the impact that it has on children. They're at greater risk. Okay. So I'm not looking at the PowerPoint here. Okay. So we talked about domestic violence. Okay. So I'm going to go over the different types of abuse. Physical abuse, that's pretty obvious. Physical abuse is shaking, hitting, spitting on her, anything that's physical and usually leaves marks. Okay. Emotional abuse. I'm going to go down one by one. Emotional abuse and psychological abuse are kind of interchangeable. Is when one person purposely harms the mental well-being of another person in a non-physical way, sometimes referred to as non-physical abuse. And emotional abuse are used the following tactics: humiliation, harassment. Okay, those they use emotional things to abuse you. And really and truly, the scars can go away, but the emotional abuse lasts longer and harder to get rid of. Okay, to let go of. The next thing I want to talk about is financial abuse. I think a lot of people are experience financial abuse, but they don't look at it like that. But financial abuse is the misuse or stealing of money, assets, or belongings of another person for personal gain, sometimes by coercion, threats, or deception. In this kind of situation, they control your money, steal from you, refuses to contribute to household expenses. There are a lot of women in that type of situation, and I work with them a lot. And the person that they're staying with is not even contributing at all, but has control of their money. And they usually have to bring the money home to this person. The next abuse I'd like to talk about, and if you have any questions or you want to inject anything, feel free to, because I don't want to leave anything out. So sexual abuse. Sexual abuse involves sexual violence or exploitation or forcing someone to engage in sexual activity against their will. Forms of sexual abuse include rape, forcing someone to watch pornography, or taking pictures of them in sexual poses. That's sexual abuse. And now, with the new age, is digital abuse. Okay, when you engage in digital abuse, you exert control using social media, texting, and other forms of technology. Digital abuse is most common in dating relationships and especially affects teenagers. Digital abuse can involve cyberbullying, demanding to know your passwords, sexting, non consensual, controlling social media use. Okay, that's digital abuse. That's been added since the digital age came. The last abuse is stalking. And a lot of people don't look at stalking as an abuse, but it is. It's a type of harassment that involves keeping tabs on another person's whereabouts to an excessive degree, knowing when they come from work, what time they come from work, and just watching them and stalking them. And it caused the other person to fear for their safety. There are a lot of women that are being stalked and they never even report it. You have to look in your state and see if there are stalking laws. And if there are stalking laws, you need to really keep good records in order to prove that that person is stalking you. Stalking behavior includes lingering near someone's home, office, or school, sending unwanted gifts, texts, or emails, monitoring a person's phone calls or computer use, because they got so many things where they can watch you now, and trail you. Okay. Uses hidden cameras or global positioning systems to track someone's location. Okay. Those are the main top topics of abuse. Okay. And stalking is one that's often forgotten. Now let's take a look at the cycle of abuse. Okay. The way it works is this. There's the tension building stage. And I could remember this so plainly when I was a child. You kind of think that something's going to happen, but you're not really, you just on edge because you know something's going to happen. You just feel it. You're so used to being in it, you know. So there's the tension building stage is where the person is looking for something to get angry at. Oh, you got that paper over there. Get that paper up over there. You know at that point that that's going to be the tension that's going to cause the incident. Okay. The tension building stage, and then the explosion, and then the reconciliation. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it. Why do you make me do these things to you? If you didn't make me do them, I'll do it. I wouldn't do it. I care about you. That's why I do these things to you. And then the calm. And believe it or not, it's really refreshing when it gets to be calm because at least you don't have to worry about the incident firing up again. And as a child, I remember that too. I remember that very, very well. That's the cycle of abuse. Okay. So now let's look at the effects of domestic violence, depression, anxiety, substance abuse, low self esteem, post traumatic stress disorder, physical scars. Again, we always talk about the emotional scars. Okay. So now we're going to look at tools for prevention and healing. Okay. The biggest tool that I could say for um, healing is for the woman to start seeing the value in herself. And that's what I do when I work with my clients. Because usually, this is generally, a lot of the people that be in abusive situation often come from that environment. And they already have low self-esteem. I know I did. I had low self-esteem. And then that caused me, that was one of the reasons why I got into a emotionally abusive relationship. I think it was because of the familiarity. And I also think it was because I didn't have a good picture of value. I didn't see the value in myself. Yeah. Um, so breaking the cycle, that's what we have to do. We really have to break the cycle. And the way that we do it is we have to mirror it. We have to show up like that. We have to start being like that at home with our families. I notice in my family, it's a lot of I have 14 people in my family. Each person in the family, it affects them all differently. It affected me differently because I was very shy, I was very withdrawn, and again, I didn't see the value in myself. And each one of my brothers and sisters have been impacted. But again, it's up to the person that to want to get help around it. And a lot of times they don't really know anything's wrong with them. They really don't. They don't even have an idea. And if they do, they're not willing to do anything about it. Okay. So I would say that it does start at home. It starts at home, being polite to each other, telling each other thank you. My family never compliments each other. You never hear a compliment. It's always maybe something, you need to do this, you need to do that. Start being supportive and kind to your family, not only to people that are outside, to people in your environment. They deserve your respect and your kindness as well. So that would be one of the ways that I would feel for healing. And prevention for the next generation is to see us mirror that behavior to the next generation. That's why you see kids acting out. Their parents do the same thing. Yeah, like they say, the apple doesn't fall that far from a tree. And it's true. It's true. When you see a child that's bullying or doing whatever it is, not all the time, but it's generally they've already seen it before and they're just mirroring what they've seen. Okay. Um, so let's see where are we at? Any questions or comments so far? Okay. So let's talk about some of the myths about domestic violence. The first myth is it's always physical. When you talk to a lot of people, they always say if it's not physical, it's not abuse. Try it. You'll see. They won't say anything. They always they don't even claim that verbal abuse is abuse. It's not even on the radar. So we have to do a lot of education around that. Okay. Another myth is if it's really bad, they would leave. The main roadblock for these women is fear of the unknown and self doubt. Many of these women have been deeply affected by uh, toxic or abusive relationships. Okay. And they've been in several of those types of relationships. So when you're fearful of the unknown and you have the self doubt, you either keep coming back to what's familiar or you never take that step. Okay. Okay. Another myth, toxic relationships only happen to uneducated or weak individuals. That's not true. There's a lot of high achieving women, high paying big time women that are in toxic and abusive relationships. So that's not true. Another myth, the abuser is always angry and aggressive. No, he's not. Sometimes he's sweet. Sometimes he's kind. Sometimes he's thoughtful. That's why it's so difficult because women always relate to how that person, oh, he was nice in the beginning. Most of the time, that's what, oh, he was really nice in the beginning. But the fact is, you never made him angry. So how would you know if he was nice? You always said yes all the time. So, a lot of times women don't test the person in a minor way to see if they'll get upset, like break a date with them or something. You know, Another myth, is therapy can fix an abuser. An abuser can only be fixed if the abuser wants to change. While therapy can help some individual change, many abusers lack the accountability or willingness to acknowledge their behavior. And that is the beginning of recovery, is to acknowledge your behavior. That's the only way therapy is going to work. I can't go to therapy all the time and keep thinking nothing's wrong with me. That's not going to work. Another myth: toxic relationships are just a string of bad arguments. That's not true. That's not true. Okay. Another myth: victims exaggerate the abuse. No way. Another myth: children are better off with two parents, even in toxic relationships. I hear a lot of people, well, the at least they got two parents. Yeah, but look at the circumstances that they're living under. Look at what the child is going through, having to live in that kind of situation emotionally, psychologically, physically. Okay. And the last myth is that you can always spot an abuser. That's not so. You know, you might have a feeling that the person is abusive, but you don't know for sure. And I'd like to share a story. I had a girlfriend. She was in a domestic violence relationship, and for a long time she didn't tell me, but I already suspected it. I did what I could for her, um, but she wasn't really ready to do anything about it. I took her over to another place I had in Marin. I took her over there. She was calling me every day, come get me so I can go home. And eventually I took her home. I didn't want to, but it was her life. One thing I found out in doing the work: you can't make people do things until they're ready. What you have to do, what I do, is I have them start believing in themselves to the point where they know that they don't deserve to be treated like that. But if you keep telling, oh, you girl, you need to go, you need to go, you need to go, he do you this way, he do you that way. You can talk till the cows come home. If she's not ready to do nothing, if she leaves because you tell her to, she's definitely going to go back because she didn't make that decision herself. Okay. So, it's it's really kind of I guess it's tricky dealing with kind of different working with battered women. And one of the reasons is that you can't really force them to do anything that they're not ready to do. If they're not ready, they're just not ready, you know. Uh, One of the things I recommend is that you continue to support them, because my girlfriend, she met this guy, and she over the weekend she met him. And so I came over about a couple of weeks later and he was over there, and I said, wow, he had a stereo over there. I didn't know he was gonna be our boyfriend. I thought she was just, you know, dating. That's another thing we don't do anymore. No dating, just straight in, move in. And that's what happened with her. He moved in with her, and before you know it, he took over the house. He got on her lease agreement, and then it became her house and his house. And he was really leery of me. But one thing I didn't do is that I did not show my resentment towards him. And I tell you why. When you show your resentment, you're going to be kicked out. Okay? He's going to make it where you're not going to be able to come over. I knew that. So I went along with the program. Because sometimes, people say, oh, I'm just honest. I got to say what I got to say. Yeah. At the cost of what, though? Is it really worth it when you could still be involved in that relationship and keep track of your relative or your friend that way, instead of being kicked out of the whole thing? And you probably can't even talk to her over the phone because, again, remember now, he's controlling everything. And if he doesn't like you or doesn't feel like if he feels like you're a threat, he's not going to want you to be around her. There's no way. No way. Okay. So, um, right now, what I'm going to talk about is that a safety plan. Okay. When you work with women that are in domestic violence, or what you do is that you work with her on a plan before it happens. You have an agreement with the neighbor, and you have your children know that when this goes on, this is what you do. It's called a counter plan. It's where you're already ready. So you identify a safe place. And I might caution a lot of people, don't tell everywhere you go. My cousin's over there, my sister over there, because when you get ready to find a place to go to, that person's going to know exactly where to go to because you told him, you know. So identify a safe place, okay? Keep important documents and money secure. You can leave it with a neighbor, somebody that you can trust, because it's, follow your intuition, because everybody that says they want to help are not helpful. And a lot of times they may be on the abuser's side. You don't know. So trust your intuition. Create a support network of trusted people. And I really advise not so much the family, because he's coming straight to your family, you know. And I've seen a lot of cases where um, the the family member trying to help the abused person gets hurt themselves. So I caution you to create a support network of trusted people that the abuser doesn't know about. Okay. Okay, this is a discussion question and anybody can answer. What are some challenges victims face when trying to leave an abusive relationship? Anybody? Okay, I'll start off with one. Okay, many women from all socioeconomic groups have been affected by toxic relationships, causing them to question their worth. I think I talked about that. Can anybody else name any other challenges that they could see that victims face when trying to leave abusive
To be judged,
relationship?
to be
Pardon?
judged by to be judged by the rest of the people.
Right
You a
on. Very good.
loser that you was not able. Be
Very good.
rejected by society,
Okay.
and
Thank
family
you.
and
Thank you.
friends.
All right. Yeah, that's that's you, Monica, right?
Yes.
No. Yeah, very good. Yeah, you know,
Oh,
it's you always kind of scared of being judged by other people.
okay. Tulia tu kwanza.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yes. Um, I think
Tulia kuja.
sometimes they get shy and
Uh-huh.
cannot explain themselves when they have even some problem because they
Okay.
fear the other person is going to maybe molest them or abuse them or even quarrel with them.
Okay. Very good. Very true. Very true. There's a lot of fear that's involved. A lot of fear. And like Monica had said, being judged, because you judged every day. Nowadays, you just judge for anything. You judge for your own opinion. If you don't agree with somebody, people get upset. And I thought we had the right to have our own opinion, but we're judged constantly, constantly. That's why we can't allow that to interfere. But again, you really have to work on yourself in order to be at that level. Okay. Let's see. And these emotional hurdles can paralyze them, preventing them from confidently stepping into the healing process or making empowered choices. I worked in a battered women's shelter, and believe it or not, a lot of the women felt like he was like magic or something. He could always find them. You know, he's going to find me. But I'm a true believer in this. You leave footprints. Nobody's magical. You leave footprints. You either go to the relative's house and you start talking to the relatives, or you start going outside of this support system that you have created. Because, oh, me and his cousin are friends. I can tell her. No, no, no. When you're really on a mission and you have a safety plan already established, you have to stick with it. And in terms of the kids too, if you feel like the kids will be better with you, that's fine. If you feel like they'll be better with the other person, it's up to you. It's up to you. But please be clear as to who the person really supports, if you understand what I'm saying. Because I had a lot of women that came in with children that were really more connected with the father, because the dad was the one that had all the power. And a lot of times that child would tell that the mom was in a program. So I would just caution anyone that's thinking about going into a program, a battered woman shelter, or trying to hide out or anything, that they make sure that they're in an environment that's supportive of what they're doing. Okay. All right. So let's see. We talked about that. Let's see. Where are we at now? Okay. Okay. So what do we need to do? What do we need to do in order to start making these changes? We need to strengthen the communities. We need to involve the churches. We need to involve local organizations. I like last month, I went to church and, it was Cancer Awareness Month. Nothing was even mentioned about domestic violence. I had to remind them. It's just not on the forefront of people's minds. Even though we see all these women getting killed, we see all these women getting stalked, we see young girls being abused, but it's still not on the radar. I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe it's uncomfortable for us to deal with. It has to be our own issue because we see it every day. It's not like it's hiding, you know. So strengthen communities, get the churches involved, and the churches need to bring domestic violence education and toxic relationships within the church as a workshop or training. Because when we all get behind the same thing, we can make a change. But when you got one going this way, one going that way, we're never gonna get where we need to go. Okay. Violence against women drains global and local economies due to healthcare costs, huge healthcare costs for women, during pregnancy, after pregnancy, and just medical conditions, mental health issues, medical issues that don't have a name, because that's what happened to me. Because I had a stomach ache that wouldn't go away, and they could never find out what it was, because it was psychological, because I was depressed, a depressed little kid, horrible, horrible when you think of what children have to go through, the little silent victims. And I'm not saying that parents do this deliberately, and I'm not trying to, put all the blame on parents, but as a parent, we're there to protect our children. And oftentimes it's protection against their dads or whoever you feel is violating them. Okay. All right. And right now, which is really good, we got a call to men and boys, and I'm very, very happy. And we're engaging men and boys as allies. Okay, shifting harmful stereotypes and promoting healthy masculinity can dismantle the social norms that enable violence. Everyone benefits when we all work together for change. When I worked at the shelter, I invited a man in to be my co-facilitator. The women were really shocked. But what it did, it helped them understand how to communicate with men and not be afraid. They communicated with a man that wasn't violent, that they could talk to. So I felt like it was a good process for them because they got used to talking to a man that was kind, gentle, and really listened to whatever they had to say. And they really weren't used to that. Okay. So we got to do cultural and systemic change. Addressing violence requires challenging harmful traditions, beliefs, and systems that perpetrate abuse. Advocacy, okay? All cultural and systemic change. Now, in other countries, I've heard that if the guy abuses, they keep a record of it. I'm not sure about that in the United States. And if he does, then they pull up his record and they can compare records. I'm not sure if we do that here because sometimes, unless it gets really, really bad, it's kind of like just a slap on the hand or fine, you know. But again, each country, each state, everything is different. I'm in Oklahoma now, and Oklahoma has a high rate of domestic violence. It's one of the highest, you know, and I can understand. Okay. Okay, so uh promoting gender equality. We're all equal. Come on. Okay, happens in Nigeria. Thank you, Banja. Okay. Violence against women undermines efforts to achieve gender equality. It reinforces societal norms that devalue women and limit their potential in personal, professional, and community life. Boosting societal and economic development. When women and girls are safe and empowered, they contribute to stronger families, communities, and economies. Violence disrupts this, causing emotional trauma, loss of productivity, and significant economic costs. And when I worked this one, the fifth one is ensuring public health and well-being. Violence has long-standing physical, emotional, and psychological consequences for survivors. Addressing it reduces the burden on healthcare systems and improves overall community well-being. And to be honest, I worked in public health, and I didn't even know domestic violence was it was a part of public health. I was quite surprised to find that out, because we didn't have anything going that centered around domestic violence. I did it because I was a medical social worker. So that was different. But there were no special programs under public health that addressed domestic violence. And last but not least, building a culture of peace and respect. Even though I don't agree with you, I should still respect you. And that's what's missing. That's what's missing. Peace and respect. I want to just add one thing. When I'm around my family, it's nothing but drama. Just drama, 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 drama. One drama stops, another drama starts. It's almost like an addiction to it. It's different for me because I left there and I started working on myself. So being here has been quite an experience, and I'm gonna tell you one thing. If your family is not well, you don't need to be around them that much. Seriously, because I'm going to speak from my own experience. I've worked on myself a long time, and being around them is a trigger. And when I say about trigger, it's things that impact me, that they're a trigger to me. And I have to limit my contact with them. Because in a way, they make me sick. I mean, that sounds crazy, because you can love someone and still they not be good for you. Okay. All right. Because I want to continue to love myself. I want to continue to see the self-worth in myself. And being around them, it doesn't support that. Whoever don't support you, you don't need to be around them. I'm serious. That's a choice you have to make. But that's the choice I made. Okay. All right. Any comments or anything anybody want to add? Okay. All right. So let's see, where are we now? Okay. Activities and reflections. Activities, support groups. Support groups are very, very important, in the community, in the church. We got to be together. We're not united. That's why we're not going anywhere. We seem like we're going in circles. We got to get everybody involved, politicians. We already have the men and boys involved, and I'm so grateful for that. I really am. I think that is so, the men and boys is grateful. Grateful. I'm so grateful you guys have joined us in this fight because we can't do it alone, So we need to reach out and draw more people into the process. We do. And I want to also add another thing too that to me is very, very important. When you do leave, don't 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 jeopardize other people. Go places because there's so many people that have gotten hurt and killed as a result of helping an abused woman. And we all want to help. But again, they have to want the help. And there's a saying that I learned when I was first started doing counseling. If you working more than the client, something's wrong. Okay. And I've done that before. And then, until I figured out that it has to be her choice, not mine. Because some of the stories I heard were so horrible. I really wanted her to leave, But again, it wasn't my call, it was her call. Okay. And when you're with when you know that a woman is these are just some suggestions that I have from my observation. When you know that a woman is in this type of situation, don't keep it bugging her about leaving. Keep telling her that she's valuable. She's worth something. She's got her whole life ahead of her. Don't keep telling her, oh, don't be taking that. You know what? If she could, she would. So, you don't need to keep harping on it like that. What you need to do is just keep telling her how beautiful she is, how beautiful and kind she is. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I missed that, Marie. I'm sorry. Is there a way you can read your poem again? Okay. I'll be very happy to. I'll be happy to, because I think my time is up anyway. What I recommend for anyone, date. Get to know the person. Practice listening. Even in your families, practice listening. Use the I statement. Don't say Johnny said I say, I feel, I think. Set clear boundaries. If you give somebody a boundary and they cross that boundary, that's a bad sign. That means that they're not respecting what you're telling them. I tell you to come over at 8 and you come over at 10 and you keep doing it consistently. That's telling me something, right? That you're not respecting what I'm saying. Schedule family check-ins. Period. I think this is fantastic because I used to do it when I did foster training. To have a family meeting every month, and ask everybody for their input. What it does, it teaches kids to speak up and to be verbal about how they feel, because you want to know how people feel. We've been going around so long not asking nobody how they feel, just assuming. Okay. So family check-ins, at least once a week or once a month. You figure it out with the family. Teach and model empathy. Yeah, teach and model it. Avoid harmful communication habits like put downs, belittling. That's what I came from. Put downs, belittling. It's a wonder I had any self esteem. Eventually I got it, but I had to work to get it. But don't let the kids have to work that much for it. Give it to them. Show it to your cousins. It doesn't have to be your kid. All children belong to us. They're ours. We're here because we want to change the next generation. Okay. Use positive reinforcement. Yeah, use positive reinforcement. Don't use those negative things because, all it does is bring people down. All it does is bring you down when you hear it. So I think my time is up. Did anybody have anything else they wanted to? Because I also had some affirmations. I wanted you in that workbook to write down 3 positive statements you can say to yourself. I am worthy of love, success, and happiness. Make up your own, write it down, and put it in here. Okay. All right. So I believe that my time is over. Do anybody have any questions? And I hope I covered everything as much as I could anyway. Right. And then
Oh, we have a hand, Samuel. Yeah, men champions, alpha men champions. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, please.
Yes, there is a question from the men's champion.
Yes.
Yes, my name is Christopher from Alpha.
Yes, Christopher.
My question is, in most cases, we believe that, which is a reality, 95% of men are the perpetrators of gender-based violence in most of our domestic houses. So my question is, sometimes you get also the women who are also really harassing their husbands.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I hear you saying that women
even
have a
children.
lot of the have a lot
this
of
man
the
has
same.
just said.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Would you go ahead? I'm sorry.
Okay. So you get now, how do we help these people, these men who are also suffering with the gender-based, which now starts with the women? Because we have seen in some cases, you get that men, there's a man who has just been having a problem with the wife since they got married and they have children. So this person also needs the right of being out of gender-based. How can we help such a team?
Well, I think we can help. From my perspective, we can help any gender regarding violence if we have them start believing in themselves and see their self-worth. They won't want to stay in that kind of relationship because it's unhealthy for them. And because to me, male or female, the recovery is the same. It's different little strategies, but I think that men get in those kind of situations for the same reasons that women do. I have sons, and so they're able to share with me some of the same things because women are toxic. Women can be, abusive. And, we don't talk about it a lot, but it does. It does. So I would recommend the same things that we use with women, we use with men, but it may have to be tweaked a little bit because it's a male population versus a woman population. That would be the only thing. But we all need support. We all need people to care about us. We all need people to give us a pat on the back and say, you're doing a good job, So I hope that answers your question. And if not, ask me again. Maybe I'll,
We have another question. We have another question. Mamacita, go ahead. Monica.
More than a question is to complement on regards of what is a woman's or men's gender-based abuse. Because it's to start this conversation. And not only start the conversations, but the definition of what it is an abuse. In men's, I believe, is harder to detect because
Oh,
the
definitely. Yep,
masculinity is not going to allow them to
that's
detect
true.
or to be
Mhm.
aware how much they can be
True.
under control. The point is, nobody controls nobody. The freedom, because I am a believer, and I believe that God make us free.
Yes,
So
it
one of
does.
the most important things is that as far as we continue this conversation, and these
Uh-huh.
conversations that we're going to have tomorrow, men
Yes.
are not always the perpetrators. Sometimes they are the victims,
True.
and they go
That's
back and
true.
forth. Who is going to control who? What is going to be controlled? It's going to be controlling the kids, because sometimes in that exit of the marriage, the
Mhm.
control with the kids, the control with another money, houses, is what make the abuse harder. That's
That's
it.
true. Very true. Thank you. That was good input. Yeah, it
Wow,
does.
that was great, and we appreciate. So we're gonna take one more
Mhm.
question so that
Okay.
we get ready for
Okay.
our next
Okay, dear.
speaker. If you have one
Hmm.
question, one more question, and please feel free to make comments so that
Yeah.
we can also share with
Yeah.
Sister Janice. And if you need any follow up, if you need some resources from her, do not be afraid to ask, because this is why we are here: exchanging of information,
Yeah.
sharing of knowledge, and it goes beyond just sharing our
It does.
cultures and traditions. So I just wanted to add that, but
Thank
great
you.
point, Mamacita. Well said,
Yes.
well
Very
said. Thank
good.
you so much.
I'm glad you brought that up because we always talk about men being the abuser, but it works both ways. It really does. Thank you, Monica, for bringing that up. Um, now, was there another question someone had? If not, you want me to read the poem? Maria, you still there? Hello?
Way to
Yeah.
close it with a powerful poem reminding us that the flowers that we get, often than not,
Mhm.
as women, we say, "He has not bought me flowers." But I want you
Okay.
to sit back and take a listen
All
and
right.
let this poem speak to you. But let also this poem encourage you. If you're in a situation that is beyond you, where you feel you've lost control, where you feel that there's no hope, let this poem remind you that you are worthwhile and you do not
Amen.
want to receive those flowers when it's too late. Take it
Amen.
away.
Okay. I got flowers today. It wasn't my birthday or any other special day. We had our first argument last night, and he said a lot of cruel things that really hurt. I know that he's sorry and didn't mean to say these things to me because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today. It wasn't our anniversary or any other special day. Last night, he threw me into a wall and started to choke me. It seemed like a nightmare. I couldn't believe that it was real. I woke up this morning sore and bruised all over. I know he must be sorry because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today. It wasn't our anniversary or any other special day. Okay. And it wasn't Valentine's Day. Last night he beat me and threatened to kill me. Makeup and long sleeves don't hide the cuts and bruises this time. I couldn't go to work today because I didn't want anyone to know. But I know he's sorry because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today. And it wasn't Mother's Day or any other special day. Last night he beat me again, and it was worse than all the other times. If I leave him, What will I do? How will I take care of the kids? What about money? I'm afraid of him, but I'm too scared and dependent to leave him. But he must be sorry because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today. Today was a special day. It was the day of my funeral. Last night, he killed me. If only I would have gathered the courage and strength to leave him. I could have received help from the women's shelter, but I didn't ask for their help. So I got flowers today for the very last time. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Maria, for the invitation.
Always, always. It's such an
Uh-huh.
honor.
It's such
Let's
an
be
honor to be here.
reminded that yes, those flowers, they smell so good.
They
But
do.
let's ensure that those flowers that we yearn for don't result to the flowers that will be put on our coffins.
Amen.
How
Amen.
long can we say we got flowers? And he said he was sorry.
Yes.
He wouldn't do it again, but does it again. But today we feel the responsibility, the weight on our shoulders. Miss Janice challenged us to go beyond. What we took away was the art of solidarity, coming together to support each other, to speak with one voice, so that we are able to be part of that change that we want to see, to dismantle the status quo. It's no longer business as usual. This is the day that we make a commitment to selves. What's your call to action? How are you going to be a better animator, activist, feminist, leader, sister, mother, brother, father, grandfather, grandmother?
Amen.
What's your role? What's your part? Are you going to tell it to go back? Because tradition tells us so. Are you going to tell it to stay because of the children? Then tomorrow you will bury her. Is that what we want? Can we be bystanders? How can you be of support? It's time.
It is.
And the time is now. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for joining us in what was a very powerful first session. But as we always say in the 16 days fashion, we move on. We got to keep moving the train. And we are now getting ready to introduce to you yet another powerful speaker all the way from Kenya. Her name is Yasmin Jepchumba. I love it when the young people write on. Like I said, these conversations are now intergenerational. And we will always have the young and the old and the elderly share knowledge and wisdom. And Yasmin, we welcome you. And she's a 24-year-old graduate with keen interest in personal development and new experiences. Having completed her education, she's eager to explore opportunities that align with her passion and aspirations. She values independence, and she's determined to carve out a fulfilling path for herself in the world. With positive outlook and a desire to learn, she embraces challenges as a means to grow and evolve. She's excited about the future and looks forward to making meaningful contributions to her community whilst continuing with a journey of self-discovery. We love it when the young get involved and they speak out, and they too are saying, no more, our voices matter. Ladies and gentlemen, let's open our mics, and or if you're able, give a clap and allow Ms. Yasmin Jepchumba all the way from Kenya to get that moment where she
Okay.
shares and sheds light to the very issue of domestic violence in the family, breaking the cycle. Take it away, Yasmin. Yasmin, we need you to unmute yourself. I do see that she's with us. And if you can unmute yourself and open your camera, we understand if you have to shut it down at some point, but take it away. The mic and the floor is yours.
Jasmine, you mute yourself again.
Okay. We'll give her a few seconds. I do see she's with us. She did unmute herself earlier, but I'm not sure what's going on. Miss Linda, do you want to reach out to Yasmin? Because you're both like within the same locality. So maybe you can give her a call and find out what's going on. Because we see that she's on there, but for some reason we cannot. Somehow she's not unmuting, so we don't know what's going on. May you kindly reach out to her and just communicate with us, with Monica or myself, so that we know what's going on. But meanwhile, since we are still on the discussion of family violence and breaking the cycle, I would like to hear what your thoughts are in terms of, do we all agree that violence stems, or the root cause of violence starts in the family? I want to hear your comments. You can put them in there, or if you have a word, what comment can you make regarding that assertion? I do see Samuel. Okay. Samuel, yes, take it away.
Okay, based on the subject of the first presenter on family violence, I believe the root cause of violence actually emanates from the family level, and you find that you find is everything okay?
Okay, sorry about that, Samuel. Carry on. I think Yasmin is about to join us, so we'll let you say what you wanted to add on. Then Yas will have you join. Okay, go ahead, Samuel, so that you can finish what you were trying to share with us.
Okay, I'm saying that family violence actually is the root cause of any other violence, because you will find that if everything is controlled at the family level, then other types of violence like the cyber attacks and whatever will not happen to that level. You'll find that at family level, once everything is in order, there is that power balance. There is a good relationship between parents and their children, good relationship between parents, the spouses. You'll find that family violence can be addressed. But my major concern is about our rural setup. Like in Kenya, you will find that the issue of culture is a very big barrier towards addressing the issue of family violence. You will find that so many people believe that men are powerful. There is that power imbalance between the two spouses. So it is an issue that has to be addressed, but I do agree that family, once everything is addressed at the family level, then other types of violences might be minimized. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. And that is so true. It holds so much truth in that. We have to start these conversations at family level because, again, we are not all born violent. These are habits that we then emulate and that are ingrained or embedded in us as we become adults, young adults, into adulthood. And somehow we're failing to break that cycle. But Sister Janice reminded us that it is important to check in. It is important to have those family check-ins and to speak love, respect, and oneness. And that's just those small things can be the beginning. So now, yes, we have you, and you can take it away.
Okay, sorry, what's the question?
Okay, so basically, can you share with us when it comes to family violence as a young person, as a young adult? Do you believe that family violence or domestic violence is the root cause to all forms of violence that we see today? Not necessarily wars, excluding wars, but we're talking in regards to violence against women and girls. What's your take? Being a girl and where you are today, do you think the family is important, or do we address it starting from the family? More often we've heard charity begins at home.
True. That's true. A family violence is the one that affects the future of the
Okay, I'm not too sure what's going on with Yaz here.
Maria, I'd like to add something. I did, when we talk about the family, I noticed my brothers, they grew up around my stepfather, and he wasn't really nice to women, and they're not either. So
Wow, that is powerful.
there's a lot of truth in that, because I've been observing them, and they don't really know how to treat a woman really nice. They really
Wow.
don't. And it came from the family. It does. Family does play a big role, at least from my perspective. You know, we got the intergenerational stuff, but we're in that family all the time, so we can't help but pick up a lot of even the bad stuff and the good stuff, I guess. You know, but I just wanted to inject that my brothers are horrible in terms of having me, and I wouldn't want them. Okay, you know, because they're not soft, they're not kind, they're not loving, they're not, you know, and that's something they need to work on.
Wow, that is surely correct. That is surely correct. And I do see a hand up. Alpha Men, let's hear what you have to add.
Yeah, I think domestic violence, I think if also the churches can take the role, because you may get that violence in the house can be solved if the churchmen can come in and do some of the counseling. At least that is one way of reducing the gender-based in the violence within the domestic.
You feel that the church needs to play an important role, and we're going to be addressing that on Saturday. We cannot wait because we're going to hold that thought. If you have questions, please remember to put those questions regarding the role of the church as being a vital part of the solution leading to the eradication of violence against women and girls. Thank you. So we will take note of that question. And I just wanted us to look at some of those root causes, because again, today we're talking about the family. So we want you, Miss Janice earlier on talked about some of the economic stresses. She spoke of, financial abuse in that context. And she also touched a bit on culture. And I want us to look at those aspects. How do cultural norms and societal attitudes perpetuate family violence? And I want us to think about that. How do cultural norms and societal attitudes perpetuate family violence?
Before you move on, Maria, I want to address a little bit more further of what we were talking about, the family and why we learn behaviors when we are growing, since we are small kids. So when you see that the normal is to see your mother or your sister to be abused, that is the normal that you're gonna learn. And as a man, you're gonna learn that that is what it has to be done as a man. Even that you don't teach it, they see it and they learn it. Because the kids learn how to speak when they listen. The kids learn how to walk when they see that the people is moving. So in the same way, the kids learn how to be abusers when they see the abuse. When they see that it's normal to go to the school and be a buller or bull people. All of those normals go in the same way with the person that is abused. When they see that that is the position, and going further in the question, in the culture, and the point that I was doing about the be judged, is further when we are in our cultures, Latino cultures, African cultures. We are so in need to be accepted in the culture, to be behaving like we have to behave. Even to be bullying because everybody bullied everybody. To be criticized because everybody criticized. And we believe that those behaviors are the normal and the right thing to do. Stuff. It is not.
Wow, I love that, because again, Mamacita, you made such an important part when it regards to family. We know families are foundational to shaping and collective attitudes towards violence, especially. Like she said, it all starts in the home. So we have to be able to address and avoid certain tendencies and behaviors and attitudes, because children tend to emulate what they see, what is modeled before them. So if in that home, for instance, especially in most families, we know gender plays a big role. The sons are more important if you come from a patriarchal setup like I do. Most of us come from patriarchal societies. But we have to go back to the root where these habits are built and embedded. And that goes back to the family. Because Mamacita is right, Monica is right, and so was Miss Janice, because children learn behaviors. They emulate what they see. This is why when you look at two young people, young kids playing together, ultimately, even during that play, their way of play is determined by their gender. Boys will say, I'm responsible for this. And I want us to keep our eyes open and listen when the children are at play. I want us to understand this. They already play, they take their roles. Girls will start saying, I'm going to go and cook for you. I'm going to have to go fetch the water. And they're saying it from the innocence of their hearts. They don't understand what this all means, but it is what they saw. And this is now embedded in them because they feel, as a girl child, I am supposed to cook, I am supposed to clean, I'm supposed to be a yes person, to listen to my brother, to listen to whoever is playing the role of a man in that play. And the boy children tend to be the ones who speak with authority. And they will tend to say to the girl child, listen when I'm talking. And these are certain traits that they've picked up. And when they become men, because remember, these boys are going to evolve and these girls are going to grow and become women. What does the girl child know? She has been told to be submissive. That's what society expects her. She has been told to keep her voice down, to always be the one who takes and receives because society says it's not okay for you to speak up. It's very unwomanlike. When you express your feelings, that's very unwoman, and it stretches just beyond those type of traits. But remember always, these behavioral traits were built and embedded from childhood. That's what the girl child knows. And the boy child, if he saw his mother being beat upon, being beat on, what do you think? He's going to beat his sister. He's going to beat his girlfriend. He's going to beat his wife because he doesn't know better. Not only is the family, but the society that he grew up in, the way he was socialized in that very society. He has to conform to what is normal. The norm is that the men are strong. The men are the leaders. The men are the custodians of the very culture that is supposed to protect. But we see that's not what the case is. But these are the traits that are embedded in him. It is becoming part of his DNA. That's what he knows. So I want us to appreciate, if we change at family level, then we teach our children that your sister is important, your brother is important, and we start changing our mindset as parents, as society, as leaders of communities, and start appreciating that these children are gifts from God. And like I said on Saturday, I'm looking forward to that. And if you're a pastor and a minister, I want you to educate us on Saturday, to tell us where in the Bible it says these are the roles that they're supposed to play. And that it's okay for a young brother to beat upon his young sister. And again, I said, I want you to understand, these are the behaviors that they've seen, that they're emulating. Now those behavioral traits are manifesting. As they become women, as they become men, they become violent because that they don't know better. And how do women protect? Again, it's coming from a place where we don't know better. So we ask, yes, I am not devaluing the traditions. They're beautiful because they shape us, they help us understand our heritage and how we became who we are today. But I would like us to revisit. And society has the obligation. Who are these? I'm talking of the people. We have to change our mindsets. It's a new dawn.
It is.
If we mean well and want our children to look at each other in the same vein, then we need to change the way we see things, the way we see our belief system. Some of those things no longer serve us as a family unit, as the social fabric. It no longer serves us. It's no longer bringing value. What is it that we can do? And again, ladies and gentlemen, I am not asking you to defy or devalue or refuse your culture and tradition. It is part of your core. But we are saying it's time to revisit. Why are things the way they are? It's time to have a conversation with the community leaders. It's time to have a conversation in our families. It's time to change what we know from yesterday, how we were socialized. We have to start promoting equality within the family. Within the family. That's where we start. So we can point fingers at each other and say men are perpetrators, women are perpetrators. But we are all carrying that baggage. And I like the way Sister Janice reminded us that when we are asked, we make it look like everything is great. The families we grew up in were rich and great. They molded us to become this. And some of those families, yes, molded us to become ugly beings. This is the hard truth.
It is.
So we need to take a closer microscopic look at ourselves. And that's the call to action I challenge you today before we leave. Who are you? What's your call to action? What are you going to do better as a father, as a mother, as a sister, as an uncle, as an aunt, as a grandmother, as a grandfather, and as a leader in your community, as a pastor, as a bishop? We all have responsibility. If we've not been engaging the family, then I believe it's time. And yes, in the church, we may not get it right and perfect, and it's okay to learn and relearn if we are going to be the voice of change. So I want to thank you again for today. What a wonderful discussion, and so much to take away. So much to take away. We learned so much. And Miss Janice, we cannot thank you enough. We cannot thank you enough. We learned so much, and I'm hoping by the use of the resource book that she provided, some of us can also take that into our own communities. That is the beauty of what we do. Tomorrow is day 3. Today we looked at the family because we said this is where it all starts. And tomorrow we are going to have the gender transformative interventions, the discussions with the candid conversations with the men when it comes to addressing violence against women and girls from the men's lens. Like again I said, we have marched, we've beat the drum, but we are facing violence against women in large numbers. It's not stopping. It seems it's a pandemic that has no vaccine in sight. But we say it's time. And tomorrow we'll be hearing from the Alpha Support Men Champions. And we also be hearing from Carlos Mauricio Hernandez all the way from Colombia. They will join us. Some of you will be no stranger to the candid conversations, but this is where we'll have authentic discussions, where we will discuss violence against women and girls and seeing it from the lens of the man. What's their take? It's all about tomorrow. If you have any questions that you would want to address with them tomorrow, please note them down because they will lead the full session tomorrow. So we invite you to day 3 to come and hear it from the men's mouths, who our brothers, who are now our allies. And they taking a stand with us to say no to violence against women and girls. These are our sisters, these are our wives, these are our mothers, these are our aunts. And it's time to wear the orange and to wear the skirt like Uncle Charles says. So I want to thank you once again. And remember always, as you leave this platform, you are the light. You are change. And if you can bring hope and shed light to one woman, one girl, one man, one boy, one community at a time, then our work is done. But I also want you to remember, we cannot do it alone. This is a collective effort. Each and every one of us on this platform and beyond has the responsibility to stand and be heard and say, the time is up. We cannot go back. We cannot go back to yesteryear. It's time for our women and girls to be seen as equals. So without further ado, I wish you all luck today. Well, for those of us that are still morning time, wherever you're joining us from, and for others it's afternoon, and for others it's evening. I'll say good evening to Kenya and Zimbabwe, and I think we had Uganda earlier. And for North America, thank you. It's still morning, and I hope you have a great day. I hope you all have a great day. Remember, if you can take away anything, unity. We cannot do this alone. We appreciate you and more. And we look forward to serving you once again tomorrow, day 3.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.